for 3 straight years one of the 5 worst offensive lines in the country. Like that's
Right.
not even hyperbole. It's
I'm
real.
not saying you're not right. I'm saying now, why should we not expect him to flourish in an offense that produced us Todd Gurley? And now you see how quickly Todd Gurley goes to the Falcons, and nobody's even talking about him in fantasy right now.
The issue with that team right now is their offensive line, relatively speaking, is also not good. They're in the bottom quarter of offensive lines. So there's going to be some issues for any running back behind that. I think it's about volume. Whether if Cam Akers gets 220 targets / touches, receiving, rushing, Cam Akers is going to be a borderline top 10 running back. He's going to be. But it's because of volume.
All right, so let's get into, I guess, tight end a little bit. We kind of just amended our league this year with everything going on. We don't have a tight end. We have tight end / receiver, I think it is. What are you guys looking at as far as Kelsey, Kittle? To me, are not tier one. To me, tier one is George Kittle, and then after that, I don't even put Kelsey on his level. So
you don't put Travis Kelce in the same tier with George Kittle?
I'd say it's 1A, 1B.
Yeah. And then it's everybody else. Yeah, it's those two, though, for sure.
I mean, you can make an argument that it's close, but they have Kelsey rated number one. I would much rather have George Kittle.
Even with Patrick Mahomes over Garoppolo?
It goes to the opportunity thing and how many mouths you have to feed in the offense. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But also, at the same time, I'm not going to be one to draft the tight end very high at all.
Yeah, I've traditionally waited really. Like, I'm one of the last guys to draft a tight end. I just always am.
I think I picked up Mark Andrews as a free agent last year.
Yeah, I got Darren Waller. I got Darren Waller in the 11th round last year, and that worked out pretty well.
Well, that's the case for waiting on it, though. I mean, if you're not getting Kelsey or Kittle, which at that point I'm taking just running backs and receivers pretty much. But I mean, the other people behind him, Evan Ingram, every single year is going to be his breakout year. It never is. It doesn't help that he's on the Giants. Hunter Henry, Tyler Higbee, guys like this.
Zach Ertz and Mark Andrews ahead of him, ahead of Ingram.
No, of course, yeah. But I'm saying, if I don't get Kittle or Kelsey, I'm not going to draft Mark Andrews or Zach Ertz very high.
Yeah. Mike Gesicki?
No.
I actually no. I wouldn't laugh about Mike. I think Mike Gesicki's going to have 700 to 800 yards this season.
He's going to be a sleeper for sure.
He is.
Like half the Dolphins are opting out because of Corona.
So they have, on this one, they have Gronkowski rated right around Gesicki. And the point that I would make about Gronk is it's pretty clear he didn't not play football because he wasn't good or wasn't able to. It's because he didn't want to play for the Patriots and his body hurt. But, I mean, you're not going to get Gronkowski for 16 games, I don't think.
He's not going to quit, go to the WWE for half the year and then come back for the playoffs?
You say that jokingly, but there's no telling. I mean, he could.
Like, I'll take week 4 to 14 off and just come back for the playoffs?
He's going to pull a Scottie Pippen and just go to Vegas for 3 weeks.
That was Dennis Rodman.
You might as well. Just come back.
Scottie Pippen, yeah. So as far as – so when I was talking earlier about waiting on a quarterback, when you say waiting, what's the worst quarterback you'd feel comfortable taking?
Well, this year it's pretty deep. It's deep as it's been in a while.
I mean, they have Cam Newton rated 17th. If Cam Newton's my quarterback, I'm not that mad about it. I'm not even mad about Joe Burrow or Baker Mayfield. There's quarterbacks all over the place.
I would go for like Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. That's my last resort.
Yeah, I don't think it's that impossible that one of these guys ends up like top 5, like Drew Brees to end up top 5 as far as quarterbacks. So there's no reason to get. I mean, Josh Allen obviously is great for his rushing potential, but once you get past, and you said you're even like Dak Prescott. Once you get Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, after that, I mean, there's no reason to go very high. I don't think.
Yeah. There's like 10 good ones you can get.
Yeah. So as far as like rookies go, who are some of the people you guys are excited about? Jonathan Taylor, obviously, behind one of the better offensive lines in football, is somebody to be excited about. Running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, anybody who you guys are like targeting or you're excited about besides Edwards-Helaire, I guess. Who's
the one that the one on the Raiders? Who's that guy that they got? Jerry Jeudy, I think.
No, Judy's on the Broncos.
Broncos, yeah.
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs, that's who. He's gonna be good.
Yeah, the argument against rookies this year is about them missing rookie minicamp and not being in camp because of virus and them being behind as far as getting times with coaches and working out, schemes, things like that. But there's a lot of potentially really, I think the second half of this year, take flyers on rookies, especially if you're in like a 10-12 team league and you feel unsure about some things. Go with Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs or CeeDee Lamb, and to that degree, even some of these Zach Moss, those types of guys who may, as the year progresses, have a bigger and bigger role as they get more comfortable.
You saw what Michael Irvin said about CeeDee Lamb?
What did he say?
He's going to be like the next Kevin Durant of the NFL.
What does that even mean?
The Cowboys are going to be the Warriors of the NFL?
That's not even possible.
That's why it's so funny.
I don't even know what that means, even as a Cowboys fan. I'm not sure where he's going with that.
Yeah.
You have to be excited, but I think, there's an argument. Like, I think it's fair to say the Cowboys on paper have the three best, the best wide receiver trio in the league. So, we'll see if Dak is going to try and make $40 million a year. He better do it this year because he's got all the pieces he needs to be good.
Marty, where'd you go?
You went to the bathroom.
All right. Let's talk some NBA. Luka.
Jesus, I left for 2 seconds.
In that time you were gone, we redecided that LeBron's not in the GOAT conversation and that Luka is better than him at 21 years old.
I did not say that. You bite your tongue when you're talking about the GOAT. LeBron's the best of all time.
No, he's not.
That's funny too, but
he's not even really in the conversation. But that's okay.
How's he not in the conversation?
Yeah, whoa. How's he not?
Didn't he make the NBA Finals like 8 years in a row?
Yeah, he lost.
We're doing this again now.
He lost the vast majority of them. I think everybody
in series that he was.
Nobody gives Jim Kelly as a quarterback. Nobody gives Jim. Wait, Jim Kelly made 4 straight Super Bowls, and nobody goes, "Hey, he made 4 finals." Like, come on, man! Like,
he won one in Cleveland by himself.
He didn't win by himself.
All time.
No, he did not win by himself.
The only one you can hold against him is Dallas one.
Kyrie Irving was a big part of them winning that championship.
Yeah, he's done so much without LeBron.
Yeah, and what has Kyrie done since Cleveland?
That has nothing to do with that particular series. He played lights out.
So who's better, Scottie Pippen or Kyrie Irving?
Scottie Pippen.
Okay, so
But that's not the argument for LeBron versus Michael. Like it's literally what does that have to do with the price of tea in China argument, Marty? It's
Who would you
makes
take
sense.
1-on-1?
Huh?
Who would you take 1-on-1 if they played?
Michael.
no, that's not the argument at all.
No, and it's also not an
It should
argument.
be.
Like,
LeBron would whoop him 1-on-1.
no, but you can also make an argument that like Shaquille O'Neal isn't going to get beaten by anybody one-on-one because all he has to do is back them down. If you're doing make it take it, then there's nobody who's beating him.
I would make the argument that Harden would destroy Shaq in 1-on-1.
So would LeBron.
Not if Shaq got the ball first.
Well, I mean, yeah. We're going off a coin flip at this point. How did we get into this LeBron versus?
Wait, we're not. Go back to fantasy.
That's a good segue to the playoffs.
Yeah, we're talking about rookies, so.
I mean, is Luka better than Jordan? Is that where we're at now?
That's what Jeff said.
I didn't say that.
No,
I said
Jeff,
he's better as a 21-year-old than LeBron was at 21.
well, okay, what kind of argument is that? I mean,
Yeah.
It's as real an argument as you trying to make the LeBron I've lost way more than I've won champion argument. So
right, but so Jordan also went out in the first round a bunch of times. So LeBron would have been better off if he just went out in the first round.
Hey, it's better to lose early than lose in the finals.
I don't understand the argument.
right, but LeBron actually choked in the finals. He's actually choked like when he got there in the biggest stage. No, and pretty badly too. Like let's not like make it seem like it wasn't epically bad. It was that bad. JJ Barea made him look bad. That should be the end of the conversation right there. JJ Barea.
Okay. And
LeBron James looked like a joke.
No, that team was a really good Mavericks team. They beat Kobe and the Lakers that year.
Sure. Okay.
So
I'm not saying that they weren't a good team, but they handpicked 3 of the top 10 players to be on the Heat, and then they got Ray Allen, who is going to be, is in the argument as a top 50 player and was still pretty darn good. Like you stacked the deck and you won 2 championships. Congratulations.
Right, but as you go back to this a million times, every single series that Jordan was in, they were favored to win. Like you're supposed to win.
Right, because Michael Jordan was on the team.
No,
he didn't win.
That's why. No, that is why.
What did he win without Scottie Pippen?
Scottie
Zero.
Pippen was on the team the whole time. Like I don't.
No, he wasn't. They didn't win until they got Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen was drafted. Like I don't know what that. Like you guys. Like it's weird. It's like political conversation. You guys use these talking points that are the same things that are just circulated round and round. But never mind, he's lost 5 championships.
right, but he never lost in the first round.
5.
Jordan lost in the first
5
round.
of them.
Okay, but he never lost in the first round. Jordan lost in the first round.
What does the poll say of current and former NBA players about who's the best ever? The guys who play basketball. Go look it up. You already know the answer to this, so it's semi-rhetorical. But you know that overwhelmingly, past and present pick Jordan way over LeBron.
Right, but
It's not even close. It's not even close.
It is close.
No, it's not. How is it close? It was like 77% voted for Michael.
Right,
That's an opinion.
But
How is
listen,
that close?
you'd be surprised how little basketball those guys watch. They don't allow they don't allow players to vote on the awards anymore.
Marty, are you trying to tell me that the past and present players aren't aware who the better players are? That's what you're suggesting.
I'm saying they used to be allowed to vote on MVP and these other awards, and then now they're not. They don't watch a ton of basketball.
How long did it take Michael Jordan to get to the NBA Finals?
But when he got there, he was the best player that whole
8 years,
time.
92, I think.
Right, but LeBron played in the horrific East. Like you guys can't name anybody. Like the Sixers went to the finals during that stretch, and name me somebody besides Allen Iverson that was on that team. I can, but can you?
Elton Brand.
No,
Elton Brand.
no. He was
Oh,
right. The second best player was like Eric Snow. That's how bad the East was. So like,
it wasn't that bad. They had the Pacers, the Pistons.
no.
Mutombo was on that team.
Who?
Definitely Dikembe Mutombo.
He was Defensive Player of the Year that year.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. You got me with Dikembe.
And the Pistons were good.
No.
Marty, you know about the Pistons back then?
The same argument that people use against LeBron of forming a super team is the same argument you can use for him. There was no team like the Warriors that was against the Bulls.
And the Bulls had a super team also every time they won a title.
Yeah.
They had a super team because Michael Jordan was on it.
And
They
Scottie
drafted-
Pippen and Dennis Rodman. And
Dennis Rodman, who was rejected by the San Antonio Spurs and wasn't even playing, who was like 35 years old at the time.
Did Jordan ever come back from 3-1?
Huh?
Did Jordan ever come back from 3-1?
Well, because he didn't have to, Marty. They didn't even make it to a game 6 in any of the
Right,
finals.
because he lost in the first round.
Did Michael
because-
Jordan ever make the finals by himself?
Nobody's actually ever made it to the finals by
2006?
themselves. He didn't make it to the
John
finals
did.
by himself. In fact,
Do you look
there
at the
were other
2006
players on that
Cavs?
team, and there was actually some all-stars on that team. Again, to
Name one
show you
guy
how
on the
bad,
2006 Cavs.
huh?
Name one other guy on the 2006 Cavs. Or 2007, whenever that was.
What year was it that they made the finals?
07, I think? 06 or 07? When they
2007.
played the Spurs.
Was it 2007?
2007.
Name one other guy besides LeBron. Daniel Gibson?
No, Daniel Gibson was a bench player for them.
Exactly. And that's the only other guy I can remember.
No, there was
Anderson Varejao?
Anderson Varejao was on that team, right? He was.
Exactly.
Also, J.R. Smith single-handedly cost LeBron a title.
He did? So
Yes,
to
he
that
did.
degree, did Ray Allen single-handedly give him one?
Not single-handedly, but a
No,
big
if you're basing it off of one play, then he, in fact, gave him a title.
So J.R. Smith is the anti-Ray Allen.
They had Larry Hughes, Deidretis Ilgauskas, Damon
Oh,
Jones,
Big D.
Danielle Marshall,
Oh, Big D.
Zaza Pachulia, Scott Pollard, Eric Snow again,
Exactly.
Anderson Varejao.
And LeBron took that team to the finals by himself.
That doesn't make you the best player ever. It just doesn't. And that team is better than the Allen Iverson 76ers. So they went to the finals.
But what we're getting into right now is not my crux of the argument. It's resume. And LeBron might never have 5 titles, but if you look at a guy playing basketball, I think LeBron is better at playing basketball than Michael Jordan was.
No, he's not. He's not.
It's like the
easier-
Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes debate. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady?
Except
No,
for
no,
Patrick
hasn't had
Mahomes.
6
No.
Patrick Mahomes. That's not a real argument because Patrick Mahomes' career just started.
It's
The
the
same
Aaron
thing.
Rodgers.
No, it's not.
It's the Aaron Rodgers Tom Brady debate. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback. Tom Brady has more Super Bowls.
Yeah. You
That's
take greatness or achievements?
Aaron Rodgers is the best human being to play the position of quarterback.
He was before Patrick Mahomes.
Well, well, now we see Luca too. So
Marty,
Luca's gonna.
just out of curiosity, what do you base the Aaron Jones or the Aaron Rodgers like?
Watching him play.
So you're just saying the eye test.
No,
That's what determines whether somebody's the all-time best at what they do.
I don't think that you can, because there's so much that goes into it. You can't just say this guy has more rings than this guy, so he's better. I mean, what's his name better than Dan Marino because he has 1 ring? No. When you get to the highest level, you're talking about rings. But
you can't, Marty. You guys can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, look at all the championships that LeBron made it to. Then what's his face from the Bills,
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly should be in that conversation because he's the only one that's ever made it to 4 straight. You can't have it both ways. That's all I'm saying. You just brought up an argument that works against the conversation or the argument you made earlier.
Well, you can't go football to basketball.
Well, you did. You tried to. That was you just did that, not me.
I was making a comparison.
Right. You brought it up, not me. So I'm going to use it against you because you didn't use it properly, sir.
Let's talk about this year's playoffs.
Yeah.
This is what I would say about every sport. And as a Dodgers fan, if we win the World Series, I'm going to feel about it because I think every championship, other than maybe if football somehow makes it through the season without a bunch of weird stuff happening, every single title to me has an asterisk on it. It does. Basketball and baseball absolutely have asterisks on it.
Basketball should not at all.
It absolutely should.
It's the same. It's the exact same.
It's not exactly the same. How can you possibly say that?
How is it not exactly the same? The games are the same.
What do you have against bubble ball?
Yeah, what do you have against bubble ball?
Well, it's not just me that's indifferent to it. Nobody's watching the games except for really diehard sports.
Everybody's watching the game.
Oh, Marty, look at the ratings, dude. They are really bad.
They're bad?
They're really bad. Not just bad.
I've been watching most of the playoff games.
Really, really bad.
So this year's first round compared to last year's first round, the ratings are really bad.
Go look at the stats, buddy. That's all I'm telling you.
We got the best games. All I'm saying, they got the best games. They're really big. They're huge. Nobody's ever watched more games than
there is some of that is there's a lot of people watching news. We'll just say.
I'm not even joking at this point. Like the games are getting lower rated. How is that possible?
Yeah, I don't know how that makes sense.
It doesn't have to make sense. It's just true.
I'm not saying it's not true.
I don't know.
You saw the ratings this year compared to last year, and they're not as good.
No, I'm telling you, they're not. I'll pull it up for you though.
I mean, I believe you, but I find it hard to believe. Like, what are people doing?
They're watching news, Marty. They're watching the news. All the news networks are just crushing it right now. People are watching in the evening. They're watching CNN and Fox and MSNBC. That's what they're watching.
What? And that's taking away viewers from the NBA?
Yes.
So the only people that watch the news are old people.
Well, not this year. The NBA broadcasts have declined by 45%. 45.
What source is that from?
It must be Fox News, a Donald Trump site.
Are you really trying to do a fake news for sports TV ratings? Like, are you really?
You can't get past anything past Donald Trump. He'll say anything.
No, that's not a Donald Trump thing, and Marty knows darn well I wouldn't ever quote.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I just don't. People are watching the news for what? Like,
because it's an election year, Marty, and because the coronavirus, and because of all sorts of reasons. Stimulus packages and.
I could do that without watching the news. I already know about all that without watching the news.
Well, I'm just telling you the reality of it. I'm not saying NBA ratings have been garbage. That's what it says. That's a headline.
So they're not going to go for like 240 billion the next time they're up for the right?
Is Sports Illustrated a reputable source or not anymore for you?
I didn't even know they still existed, but if you say so. Is that the swimsuit issue you got up there?
Next topic. Go.
No, I'm just confused on people are not watching basketball. Like, is it the same people who already were watching it and now they're not watching it? Like,
no, honestly, I think you're just underselling that there are that many more people really engaged in this particular election cycle and what's going on in the world.
Or could it be because now the games, instead of being in prime time, are
No, it's not that. No.
I'd rather watch cops shoot black people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you think everyone's watching the news. Like, we know what's going on. Like, the younger generation doesn't have to watch the news to know what's going on. I get it.
I haven't spent a ton of time trying to figure out why NBA ratings are down. I'm just telling you they're down, and they're down significantly.
What was the point of this? Saying NBA ratings are down? It's somehow against LeBron?
No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with LeBron. I'm just saying that this year's playoffs in the NBA or this year's season in the NBA and Major League Baseball are not the same to me. And again, I'm also a avid, fan of one of the teams that is without question a favorite to win the World Series. And if they win it, I'm gonna be like, whatever.
You'd be like, whatever.
Yeah. And so would Tony, who's a Dodgers fan.
How does it change it for you? I don't understand.
Because
I
it's
don't
just
get
not.
that.
You're
not happy that sports are back after 6 months?
Of course I am. But you know how avid. We have a friend. His name is Paul. He's very, very very vocal Yankee fan. He is a massive Yankee fan, and he said the same thing. He said,
I think very vocal and Yankees fans are double negatives. They cancel each other out.
Yeah, but even he said just the other day, he goes, I'm obviously paying attention, and I'm still rooting for my team. I just don't feel the same way about this season, and he's right. I don't either. I pay attention to. And if the Dodgers are on, I watch the games, but it's not the same. It really isn't.
I think it's the same.
I think it's the same.
Let's talk about the Heat, how they're going to beat Milwaukee.
Okay, so if you want to get into a little NBA there, Chase, I want to talk about it. Well, you're assuming the Magic are not coming back, right?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Obviously. Not.
So what's your breakdown then of Heat Pacers? I mean of Heat Bucks. Why do you think that the Heat have a chance? Talk a little bit about that.
I'll take the Heat in 6.
6? You're giving the Bucks one game?
Heat in 6, 2 games. Do you see the Heat 3-point shooters? They don't miss.
Yeah,
they got Hero, Duncan Robinson.
I know about Duncan Robinson.
We have like 10 deep.
Okay, all right. So how far is he going to go then? If they're going to beat the Bucks,
I say they can. It's possible they can make the NBA Finals.
So we were talking about the news a little bit earlier.
They'll lose in the NBA Finals.
To who?
Whoever makes it. The Lakers.
It doesn't matter who makes it; they're going to lose.
I say Heat Lakers. Lakers win.
All right. So we were talking a little bit earlier about the news and everything going on, and then obviously there's another shitty thing that happened with the Jacob Blake thing. Did you guys see that the Raptors were talking about sitting out a game?
Yeah.
Sitting out, or would that be a forfeit? How would that work?
Well, I think both teams would sit out.
Teams.
I don't think that the Celtics would say, "Oh, they're sitting out, so we're going to make them forfeit." But do you know what I'm talking about with that whole thing?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I say funny, but it's not funny. It's another thing. Another unarmed black guy got shot in Kennesaw, Wisconsin. So the Raptors, it takes a Canadian team to threaten to sit out a game. No American team that did it first, but they're playing the Celtics, and they talked about sitting out game 1.
Yeah. It's sad, but that won't make any difference. Cops are just racist and don't care.
Right, but
What will sitting out do?
I mean, it would draw more attention to it. I guess not with the ratings that Jeff said they had, but
That's what's point. Everybody knows about it by now. Nothing's going to change.
Well, so I think it was somebody from the Bucks, one of the guards from the Bucks, said that they never should have came back and played. They should have boycotted the whole thing. George Hill. Thank you, JJ.
George Hill. I mean, Minnesota Timberwolves should have, even though I don't think they played in the bubble, but they should have done something being in Minnesota.
Well, my point with that being that we're getting back to the same kind of situation. And if it's still happening, like nothing's changing at all. I mean, you're in South Florida. It's not great for everybody down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like what? How long ago was Eric Garner when he got choked to death?
Well, how long ago was George Floyd?
Yeah, I mean, people know.
I would have honestly started the podcast with this if I thought that people weren't so sick of. Well, from Jeff saying they're watching the news, I mean, this is what they're watching. So, I mean, Jeff, I think, was on the podcast when we talked about the George Floyd thing. What are your opinions on this? I mean, we've literally come nowhere. We're in the same place.
People just care about themselves. That's about it.
Jeff?
I think, it boils down to just there's so much.
Did you guys see the video?
I have not.
Yeah, I saw it.
I haven't. But, like, this is what I was saying to everybody. If people really care, there's a number of ways you can show it. But you better get your friends out to vote. And you better get them out to vote for your city politicians, your state politicians, your chief of police, your senators, and certainly the president. And if you don't, then shame on you this time around. Like, shame on you. And
how many people know about politics?
Huh?
Who knows enough to vote for their commissioners and the police chiefs?
Because you have access to everything with a click of a button on your computer. And if you really want to know what your city commissioner feels about police brutality, you can find that out in a few clicks. And if
because he's
really
going to tell you how he feels, right?
Really
A politician's going to tell the truth.
What's that?
A politician's going to tell the truth about how he feels.
Some of them certainly wear some of their feelings on their sleeve. I don't think they're all hiding who they really are.
It's public rhetoric. They don't care.
In the time that you can look up like your Instagram, scroll down the feed, you can find out what people are voting for, their voting records.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to stay, like, the argument can be they're all crooked, like that. They're part of the system that actually has to fix some of this stuff, and it is up to they are public servants. And if people start thinking of them that way rather than politicians and putting their feet to the fire more than just assuming they're all lying, then we'll all be better off. It just won't ever change if we just assume that it's never going to change.
It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing that we just went through. And there's protests where it happened, and I would be surprised if it didn't happen again here. But we just went through this. And now every time it happens, it's going to be magnified.
You need like 20 people it's happened to by now.
We're literally watching the NBA with messages on the back of their jerseys. And the cops, if you watch the video, Jeff, I don't know if you want to or not, but they literally shot this guy in the back like 8 times. And
these are just the ones that get caught on video. There's like 1,000 that don't get put on video.
And AJ said 3 kids were in the car. So we're pretty much hitting the reset button. Like, if you had any kind of video game when it's like, oh, this shit's fucked up, you hit the reset button. We're back to where we were. It's I don't know if it's worse than the George Floyd thing, but it's at least the same. It's the exact same. When I equate everything to Michigan, and what Chris Webber said, like, when you lost this time, is it worse than the last time? He's like, it's the same. It's the exact same. And this, as far as the George Floyd thing, if not worse.
Stretch's opinion?
Huh?
Let's see what Stretch thinks, being African American.
He doesn't talk all that much, but if he wants to, I mean, obviously.
I mean, we might as well. It's a good time to get his take.
He is indeed black.
Proud
that
of
he is.
I can confirm.
Yes.
What do you say, Stretch?
I think Jeff is right about we have to take voting more seriously, because the more that you vote and the more that you hold them accountable, the more that they have to do, right? Like if you go out there and you lie on yourself and they ask you about it and then you don't change anything, you're not going to get voted back in. So that's all it really comes down to. Like last election for presidency, I think it was like 60% of our population voted. That's a huge number that didn't. That's 40% of people that didn't vote.
You want to hear something crazy proportionately? Do you know how many people in this country? You hit it right. So 60% voted in the presidential election. Clearly, it's far less in other elections. Do you know how many people have an Amazon Prime subscription in this country?
Damn near
65.
everybody.
Percentage. Take a guess.
80.
It's 83%.
That was close.
60%, to Stretch's point, vote in the presidential election, and 83% have an Amazon Prime. They're not the same, but to that point, we're never going to get any further if we don't push agendas. We have to start.
They're saying people care more about materials.
Well,
No, for sure.
The thing is that everybody thought, oh, well, this country's having a moment, blah, blah, blah. And now this happens again. It's the same.
But you're not George Floyd didn't get rid of racism. What he did was
expose it.
Right. He exposed a couple people, and it's never going away. My sister not long ago put something on Facebook, and I won't even repeat what some white guy said to her and what he called her, and followed her and threatened her. And that's kind of the rhetoric that's become normalized for some people, and they feel it's okay now. So on a certain level, it's terrible. And on a certain level, I don't want anybody to lose their lives, but let them all come out and show the real stripes, right? The argument becomes, is it better to have that kind of underlying racism that was clearly there, but we didn't know it, or just somebody come out and tell me who you really are? I'm good with that. At least I know.
So is it better to be Boston or Alabama?
Good question, right? Yeah, right. I'd say they're both terrible, but at least I know how to deal. I know how to deal with one, right? If somebody shows their stripe, like fine, I have a choice not to talk to them. Like when you skirt around things and you say things differently, in the privacy or not around your minority friends than you do around when you're around them, then I don't want to be around those people. I don't. And frankly, we probably all have some of those friends.
Yeah, I think the discouraging part, not that it was never going to happen again, but like we just went through this. Like, I don't know. It's not very. If those cops.
Can I ask you, Marty? Are you registered to vote?
Yeah.
Stretch, I know you are, right? Chase?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Are you? I think it's fair to say. Okay, right. It's fair to say all four of us are probably in lockstep on that one, right? Like that's pretty easy, to see. I told a guy in our league, and somebody I've been friends with. His name is Marcus. Marcus is a firefighter and a paramedic. Marcus is one of those people that's friends with a million different groups, and he has he can inspire people even on Facebook to go out and make things happen. He does things with charities and all this stuff. And I said to him, Marcus, you want to make an impact? Find all the people who have an opinion who didn't vote last time and get them registered to vote, and make a day of it. Get people out, drive people to wherever. If Trump loses Florida, he doesn't have a path to the White House.
Well, so let me throw this up to Stretch then, and not to put you on the spot to speak for an entire group of people, but how are there still Black people? How are there still minorities? How are there still women that are on Trump's side? Like, how is that possible? Stretch, speak for a nation.
He has no comment.
He's talking. I can't hear him though.
Yeah, we can't
Oh,
hear
sorry,
you.
sorry. I was gonna say it goes back to what we were saying earlier about personal gain. Like, for instance, like a Candace Owens, she speaks that way because she knows that someone's gonna put money in her pocket to say these things that are disparaging about black people.
Yeah.
It used to be a term called coonery, coonism, where you just feel that way, or it could be environment, could be how they're raised, could be financial gain. Maybe a lot of the things that they see that happen in certain communities don't affect them.
Right.
Lack of empathy. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you could go with this.
Yeah,
How
I
do
mean,
you,
the percentage, Marty, is pretty small, relatively speaking.
but how do you really feel about the zero running back strategy?
All right, I'm off the podcast now.
Sorry, I didn't want to take it in such a serious place. It's very disheartening. The thing that is heartening is seeing how many different kind of people were behind the movement, and I felt like it kind of cooled off, like we thought it would. You have people out there posting the black screen on Instagram. You have everything. I'm looking at people in the NBA bubble that don't have their names on their jersey. It says equality or this, that, and
Well, shit
it
gets
doesn't.
trendy and shit gets taken.
Right, but it doesn't do anything.
Hmm?
We're getting back to the voting part of it, and it doesn't do anything.
One of those. There's a fucking Karen that won't wear a mask in public because they think they're too cool, like politics or whatever.
Yeah, how does science get politicized? Like,
people are idiots.
We're talking about fucking facts over here.
People that refuse to wear a mask and they throw shit around, all that shit.
Yeah, down in South Florida, where it's supposed to be the worst, and people are the worst on there.
People still refuse to wear a mask, so.
It's like it could be. I should have gone to college for marketing, because what it could have been is, instead of the Black Lives Matter movement, it just said like Black Lives Matter also or too. And if you want to get into the mask argument, it could have been like, oh, this mask is against my freedom because I have to wear this or that, and it restricts my breathing. It's like, you know who can't breathe? It's people who are fucking dying from cops kneeling on their neck. You could have incorporated that in a fucking mask way. But
anyway,
like, Marty, if you're listen, no matter what we do, there's going to be a segment of any population that feels a certain way. You're never getting rid of racism. That's not realistic, man. Like, we can try and do things and have reform with police departments, but like, are you really thinking that there's tens of thousands of those guys? You think there aren't going to be some racist cops? Of course, there's still going to be racist cops.
Well, so in the video, one of the cops is a black guy. It's like a heavyset black guy. It's like, how do you think that guy feels like at that point? Everything that's going on. I mean,
did all of them? I don't know. I'm asking this genuinely. Did all of them shoot, or is it how many discharged? How many discharged?
So what happened was, pretty much, this guy's went back into his car. He's like stumbling around, blah blah blah, and then a white cop shoots this guy in the back 8 times. 8. 8 times. So you can argue, oh, maybe he's going into his car, you don't know what he's getting, but I don't think 8 times was necessary. And there's a black cop that's standing next to them, and the guy recording it is yelling out, like, what does he do? Why is he getting shot? This and that. And it's the same thing. It's not happening more. Everybody can record it now, so everyone sees it happening.
That's true. It's depressing, but like I said, you have to start somewhere, and it has to be with your knowledge and your voice in a number of areas. It's fine for us to get on a podcast or even talk amongst our friends, but change happens because of people like Martin Luther King and social justice people who actually go out and get people to vote and go out and have their voices heard. And we all have to do that in our inner circles. If you don't, I mean, I'm not saying go out and start a protest. What I'm saying though is, like, amongst your friends, I'm telling you, find out. We're getting close to the deadline for voting. I think it's coming up in a month or so.
Think about this. We just did a podcast about
Why is it up to the people to change the system?
What's that?
Why is it up to us to change the system instead of the leaders and the politicians?
You vote for the leaders.
Yeah, but there should be laws. It shouldn't be up to the citizens.
There are laws. I'm saying, my point is, we just did a whole podcast about fantasy football and how much time do any of us put into fantasy football research?
How is that guy not in jail right now?
Right, but you're like,
murder?
but listen to my point. We put all this time into fantasy football, and you're like, well, I don't know about these leaders. Is that if people put half the time they put into fantasy football research that they put into electing the people who make shit happen, then it would be a much different world.
Stretch, do you, amongst your, friends who do you think most of your friends are going to vote? Are there, and I guess this is for everybody, really. Does everybody feel there are more people who are more apt to vote this time? Because I'm curious. I think there are, but I don't know.
I know my friends are going to vote.
Marty, I mean, did you vote the last election?
Yeah.
I have my voter registration card. I just moved, so I re-updated my whole shit. But yeah,
I keep that thing on me.
Well, the same thing as Chase. He went to the same high school as me. In one of our senior assemblies, they registered all of us to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
wins again?
That was in South Florida.
You think Trump's gonna win again?
No.
I'm not as hopeful as Jeff. I think he has a very good chance to win.
Hell no.
I think you're wrong. I think he has a chance. I think
he has no chance.
You think he has no chance?
What's that?
Chase, you said you think he has no chance?
Yeah.
Did you think he had a chance before?
I mean,
in the last election, did you think he had a chance?
I did, just because he was going against Hillary Clinton. It's like, do you want a woman or do you want Donald Trump?
But there's a huge population of women that did not vote for Hillary. Like, I don't think it's that much different this time. I think there's a
No, there's differences, and so I happen to pay a lot of attention to a lot of those things, and I don't just follow. I do my own research and things. So here's the deal: women didn't like Hillary. There was a large segment of women who just didn't like her, and there were that included Democratic women who did not like her. She was divisive. She was hated more than I think a lot of people cared to admit. And people just are not, they don't dislike Joe Biden in the way that a lot of people dislike Hillary Clinton. Here's the deal though. Trump is on the other side of that. There is a large segment of people, myself included, who are I don't care who the other person is. I'm voting for that person. Like, it happens to be Joe Biden. I can't deal with another day longer than we have to of that guy in office because of what I feel like he represents. And here's the other thing. So to your point about the polls were not that wrong. They were wrong on a state level, right? Nationally, they were not off. They were off by like 1% or something. And what you guys need to understand is that it only matters in swing states, which we all live in, right? So there's 7 or 8 swing states. If Donald Trump loses Florida, he doesn't have a path to the White House. He has to sweep every other swing state, which isn't going to happen. So in 2016, he lost Michigan, Minnesota and Pennsylvania, where he won by 77,000 votes total. That is 1%. 1% of all of the votes in those states. What I'm telling you, though, is that there is more than 1% of the people who I feel strongly, and he's not Biden isn't winning those states by 3 or 4% like Hillary was at this point. He's up 8 to 10% in those states. Again, if Hillary just wins those 3 states, 77,000 votes, literally she's president of the United States. So to that degree, those are traditionally slightly leaning blue states. And I don't think Donald Trump has increased his base at all. The same people that voted for him are adamantly going to vote for him again. He has not statistically seemed to have gained any new people along the way. There's no Hillary people who are voting for Donald Trump this time. There's not.
Are we still on Analytically Correct?
Yeah. What happened here? This went off.
We can Bundesliga this thing and talk off.
Let's just do your Heat Buck predictions and bow out.
Okay. My Heat Bucks prediction. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say Bucks in 6.
Ooh.
The Bucks should win this series. I'll say Bucks in 7.
I'll take bets on that if you guys want to bet it with me.
No, I already have the Heat to win the chip. 25 to win 6,000. So
I got money to blow now.
I'm
gonna bet the Heat big.
Yeah.
How long was he playing for?
5 hours.
We can go ahead and Bundesliga this thing.
Bundesliga.